This wreath is so easy to make because it's only got 3 ingredients. The first are sticks. Now I gather these from the hedgerows. Don't have to be anything special, but what I'm looking for is anything that's quite angular, got lots of little side shoots on it, like that, because they'll make for a more natural looking wreath. Now normally, I'll tell you what, I go with hazel. Hazel you can always recognise because at this time of year it's starting to get catkins, but it's been such a funny autumn that there's still a lot of leaves on this stuff. So I've also grabbed myself some beech. Now you can always tell beech trees because even in autumn when the leaves have lost their colour, they stick to the branches, an easy tell. But I like them because they got these really sharp buds, lovely russet brown, the colour of a fox's tail. And again, the angular little side shoots mean that I can make a wreath that holds together really well and also has lots of places for adding decorations. Step 1 is to weave a few of these sticks together into a circle. What I do to get started is to bend 1 or 2 of the twigs, sort of work them so they've got a slight curve in them. It just makes it so much easier to get going. If you're using straight twigs just put together, it's hard to get a perfectly round wreath. 2 ends together like that, and then I just wind them in and out. It's always going to look a bit shabby to start with, but don't worry too much about that. To give you a good length, see what I'm doing now? I'm just winding it round so it holds. And that's where these angular side shoots come in, because it means the whole thing clips together quite nice and tight. And finally, just bring the tops together. You're not expecting this to be round at this stage to create your circle, and that is what I've got, the beginnings of my front door wreath. All I've got to do now is build that up with a few more twigs. That's the perfect size, quite thin, about the thickness of a pencil, nice and whippy. Put that into the wreath like there and just loosely wrap it in. Let's get another one there. Pop them in. Yeah, and I was gathering this stuff. It's so difficult to find any hazel trees in these parts that don't have any foliage on them. And the catkins aren't as golden as they are in other years, but every December's different. You just got to use what's to hand. The more twigs you put in, the better your circle becomes. But the name of the game is to be quite rough and ready, a bit loose. You're not looking for perfection here. You're trying to capture that essence of the hedgerows, that naturalness. Looks pretty good. Tidy up any thicker edges. They're looking a bit out of scale with the rest of the twiggy bits. And the next ingredient is old man's beard, or traveller's joy. I gather this from the hedgerows hereabouts. You see it this time of year growing everywhere, and it is just a perfect living Christmas decoration. I mean, look at that. Now this stuff is easy to put on a wreath because it's quite tangly. As you can see, it really grips together. But the trick is to chop it with a little bit of length of stem on it like there, okay? And that way you can easily work it in between the sticks on your wreath and pinch it into place between the hazel and the beech. Dobbing this in all around the outsides in little clumps and clusters, just the same as it grows in the hedgerows. Looking good. The final ingredient are rose hips. I'll tell you what, I've really had to scour about the place, and that's because the summer's been so hot that the rose hips are really sugary, and I think the birds have been gobbling them up. But I've gone around from a few locations, gathered what I can, different sizes, different shades, but hopefully all lovely. On the plant, rose hips will always hang down, a bit like that, okay? And so I want them to do that on the wreath as well. I don't want them sort of sticking up. I'm trying to make this as natural as I possibly can. So I've got different types of roses. That's simply because couldn't get enough in one place. Anyway, should look good. So these little ones are from a rambler. Ramblers are small. This is Rosa rugosa, which is a classic large hedging variety. And it's funny really, some of the roses were still in flower. So I never, they weren't even producing hips. If you can't get hold of roses, well, cotoneaster, any berry that you got in your garden will be fine. You just want that sort of vivid red. I mean, in the past, I've even used plastic ones, and they're not single use. They're the kind of thing that you use Christmas after Christmas. And they don't ever wilt, of course, but if you can get the real thing, it's so much nicer to work with. When do you stop? Well, I'll tell you, when you run out of rose hips, obviously. But there it is. And what you'll find is it might be a little bit loose to start with, and if you're not very good at weaving, you might want to just push the sides together to make sure it's completely round. What you'll find is, as the sticks dry, the whole thing comes together and holds itself in place. All I need now is a door to hang it on. Merry Christmas.